What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be talking about Oregon's Measure 110. Measure 110, or the Drug Decriminalization and Addiction Treatment Initiative of 2020, is exactly what it says. Now, a lot of you and a lot of people since Election Day have asked me to go over this on my channel. I'm going to do so, but after reading through it, I still have a ton of questions that I can't find answers to. I found out of like 15 articles I read about it, the one that I'm going to read to you today is the most thorough. I will continue to cover it as things come up, when it actually goes into effect, and to see how these questions that we have are handled. Stay tuned to the end, please, for just a small announcement from me, things and stuff and things. Okay, here we go. Ballotpedia. Oregon Measure 110 Drug Decriminalization and Addiction Treatment Initiative of 2020. Keep in mind, this is a hot mess recovery video, so I will be reading the article. Oregon Measure 110 was on the ballot in Oregon as an initiated state statute on November 3rd, 2020, and it was approved. A yes vote supported making personal non-commercial possession of a controlled substance no more than a Class E violation, which holds a maximum fine of $100, and establishing a drug addiction treatment and recovery program funded in part by the state's marijuana tax revenue and state prison savings. So the money's coming from the legalization of marijuana, and I guess the money from the prisons that they save housing people, even though I think for simple possession you would just go to jail. That's one of the questions. Either way, I'm glad funding's coming out of prison for drug charges. A no vote would have opposed reclassifying personal non-commercial possession of a controlled substance from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class E violation, thereby maintaining the existing maximum penalty for a Class A misdemeanor of 1 year in prison and a $6,250 fine. A misdemeanor with 1 year in prison and a $6,250 fine? I'm going to have to look that up. Is that everywhere? That's that much? That's what I mean about drug laws. It's ridiculous. The election results for Oregon Measure 110 were 1,311,392 votes for yes, or 58.46%, and 931,897 votes for no, or 41.54%. Overview. What did Measure 110 change about drug possession offenses? The measure reclassified personal, non-commercial drug possession offenses. Possession of a controlled substance in Schedule 1 through 4, such as heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamines, were reclassified from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class E violation, resulting in a $100 fine or a completed health assessment. And I have questions about that I'll get to. Individuals who manufacture or distribute illegal drugs are still subject to a criminal penalty. The Oregon Criminal Justice Commission estimated that convictions for possession of a controlled substance would decrease by 3,679, or 90.7%. That's an amazing percentage. That's super high, right? I mean, this just goes to show how many people are getting arrested on drug charges that are just simple possession, personal use, choosing what we want to put in our own bodies. The health assessments are conducted through addiction recovery centers and include a substance use disorder screening by a certified alcohol and drug counselor. Health assessments must be completed within 45 days of the violation. How is the Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Program funded? The initiative established the Drug Treatment and Recovery Services Fund that will receive funds from the Oregon Marijuana Account and state savings from reductions in arrest, incarcerations, and official supervisions like probation and parole. Drug court too, maybe. Before transferring funds from the Oregon Marijuana Account to other recipients, the initiative required that all revenue in excess of $11.25 million be transferred to the Drug Treatment and Recovery Services Fund every quarter. The Oversight and Accountability Council, established by the director of the Oregon Health Authority, would give grants from the fund to government or community-run organizations to create addiction recovery centers. The centers must provide immediate medical or other treatment 24 hours a day, health assessments, intervention plans, case management services, and peer support and outreach. Who was behind the campaigns surrounding Measure 110? Yes on 110 led the campaign in support of the initiative. There are 4 ballot measure committees: IP44, A More Humane Approach, Yes on 110 Committee, More Treatment for a Better Oregon, Yes on 110, and Washington County Justice Initiative. Registered in support of Measure 110. So those organizations registered in support. The committees reported receiving nearly $6 million in cash and in-kind contributions. Keep that in mind. They received $6 million in cash and kind for the contributions to support this measure. The largest contributor was the Drug Policy Alliance, a 501 nonprofit organization that actively promotes drug policy reform legislation. Drug Policy Alliance contributed over $4.5 million. Theshia Naidu, Managing Director of Criminal Justice Law and Policy at Drug Policy Action, said, quote, Oregonians have always been early adopters of drug policies that shift the emphasis towards health and away from punishment. The idea behind this groundbreaking effort is simple. People suffering from addiction need help, not criminal punishments. Instead of arresting and jailing people for using drugs, the measure would fund a range of services to help people get their lives back on track, end quote. So here's my first question. What happens if you don't get the assessment within the 45 days allotted time? What happens if you don't pay the $100? What happens if you go and get the assessment and it says that you need such and such services, detox and IOP or outpatient, and you don't want to? Does the simple possession then become a criminal charge? Because technically it's not the possession anymore. It's the violating of whatever order through the courts this was. If that's the case, I'm really glad that we're making progress, but is it really progress when really, if that's the case, and I don't know that it is, I can't find any information yet, and like I said, I'll continue covering it as things come up and as things start to happen and progress. But if that's the case, is this really decriminalizing, or is it just going in a roundabout way to arrest us for simple possession? Vote No on Measure 110 led the campaign in opposition to the initiative. There is one ballot measure committee, No on Measure 10, registered in opposition to the initiative. So one ballot registered against and for it. It reported receiving over $167,000 in contributions, compared to the $6 million for the people who supported the initiative. Dr. Paul Colhole of Salem Health Hospitals and Clinics said, quote, the framers of ballot measure 110 portray individuals with active addictions as rational actors who will naturally seek out and accept treatment for their condition. But I can assure you, as a frontline provider, this is simply not true, nor is the levying of a token $100 fine a financial disincentive of sufficient magnitude to coax the ambivalent or pre-contemplative person into a life of abstinence or long-term recovery. Unfortunately, removing the threat of incarceration and abandoning the collaboration between law enforcement, the judiciary, probation, and the drug court system will result in a revolving door of drug abuse, treatment refusal, crime, homelessness, and ongoing costly health-related expenditures for hospitalizations due to overdose, infections, and drug-induced psychosis. As opposed to what? Isn't that what's already going on, Dr. Colho? I mean, as opposed to what? He's saying all these things are going to happen. The fine's not enough to, deter somebody from using. Not locking someone up. Like, locking someone up isn't enough to deter someone either. Because if that was the case, then nobody would be doing illegal drugs. We wouldn't even be talking about this. And I'm very surprised that a doctor saying this kind of stuff. You should know better, and shame on you. So I'm going to read directly from the paper that goes through each part of the act and see if our questions are answered. If not, we'll review what the questions are so that going forward, I can check them off and see if we find answers. So here it is. The Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act. Whereas Oregonians need adequate access to drug addiction treatment. Oregon ranks nearly last out of the 50 states in access to treatment, and the waiting lists to get treatment are too long. Every day, 1 or 2 Oregonians die because of drug overdoses. Drug treatment and recovery ought to be available to any Oregon resident who requests it. Whereas Oregonians suffering from substance use disorder also need adequate access to recovery services, peer support, and stable housing. 1 in every 11 Oregonians is addicted to drugs. Drug addiction exacerbates many of our state's most pressing problems, such as homelessness and poverty. Like I just said, it's already that way. What can it hurt to try something new? Whereas Oregon needs to shift its focus to addressing drugs through a humane, cost-effective health approach. People suffering from addiction are more effectively treated with healthcare services than with criminal punishments. A healthcare approach includes a health assessment to figure out the needs of people who are suffering from addiction, and it includes connecting them to the services they need. Whereas Oregon still treats addiction as a criminal problem, law enforcement should spend more time on community safety, but Oregon law enforcement officers in 2017 arrested more than 8,000 people in cases where simple drug possession was the most serious offense. 8,000 people in 1 year. In many instances, the same people were arrested for drug possession again and again and again because they are unable to get treatment. Whereas punishing people who are suffering from addiction ruins lives. Criminalizing drugs saddles people with criminal records. These records prevent them from getting housing, going to school, getting loans, getting professional licenses, getting jobs, and keeping jobs. Criminalizing drugs disproportionately harms poor people, whereas punishing people who are suffering from addiction is expensive. It costs an average of $15,000 per case, where a misdemeanor drug conviction is the most serious offense. That is more than the typical cost to provide treatment. So $15,000 times 8,000 people. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a hell of a lot to me. Whereas marijuana tax revenue has grown significantly, Oregon now receives more than $100 million in marijuana tax revenue a year. The amount of marijuana revenue is expected to grow by more than $20 million per year. The people of Oregon therefore propose this Drug Addiction Treatment and Recovery Act of 2020 to expand access to drug treatment and recovery services and pay for it with marijuana tax revenue received August 15th, 2019 by the Elections Division. Now, that does not answer my question. What happens? I'm going to go over them again. What happens if you don't pay the $100 fine? You're then put in jail for not paying the fine. So roundabout, you're put in jail for possession. What happens if you don't get the addiction assessment within the 45 days? Do you go to jail? Because in that case, you're still, in a roundabout way, going to jail for the simple possession. Now, guys, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not trying to pick it apart. These are just real questions that I have because, like I said, is this really decriminalizing or is this just finding other ways to arrest us? And it's a flawed system no matter what we do. I know that. And I'm so happy to see something like this finally happening somewhere. I wish it were New Jersey. We're usually the last people to do anything like that, though. So that's all that I know for now. But you guys know me, how interested I am in this. If you saw my decriminalization bill hit Congress video, which I'll put right here or right here, you guys know how excited I am about this kind of stuff. So I will continue to follow it. I just wanted to give a little update. It's really brand new and we're going to have to see how it goes. How does this work with minors? You know what I mean? I don't think it should be decriminalized for minors. And I also have a major problem with crack and methamphetamine being grouped in with heroin. I think that adds to the stigma because of the way heroin changes your brain. And that's not judging anyone who smokes crack or does meth. But that's a whole other video, right? One last thing, guys, and I cringe even saying this because I don't want any of you to think my priorities have shifted. You guys know the technical difficulties I've been going under. So many things are just going wrong with being able to film my videos. I'm super stressed out. It took me an entire week to get the Mary Bateman video out. It should take me no more than 24 hours. I mean, I have to edit with RJ, so a 2-hour job takes 10, but still, the software is just not working. A lot of my videos are a little lower now because I do have a new stand for my phone. I'm filming vertically again because the holder on my phone, that's how it holds it. It doesn't open enough to do horizontally, which I'm working on. If I can get a webcam, I can go live. I can't go live on my phone unless I have 1,000 subscribers, which I am not even close to having, and I'm okay with that. I like my small channel. I hope that it grows, and my subscriber count, as I said yesterday, is rising. But, you know, I have what I have, and I really can't get anything else. So I am working full time on all of this stuff, including the podcast. A few people have mentioned Patreon, and Patreon is a real pain in the butt when you don't have like 100,000 subscribers. And plus, like, to do the extra Patreon only content, first of all, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And even with someone helping me, I can barely keep up with my regular content right now until all my equipment gets fixed. So what I did was, and I know everyone does not have PayPal, but I set up a PayPal Me account, which I've linked in the description of at least my past 10-15 videos, and I'm going to be going back and putting it in every video going forward and every video that I've done so far. Obviously, you're not obligated to do that, and if you want to support me financially and you are able to, of course, I appreciate it so much, and it will go to the channel. But if you can't, like, no big deal. I felt a little icky bringing it up, but so many, at least 10, 12 people have asked me about Patreon. I just can't do Patreon right now, but I have a PayPal. I can start it immediately. It's the easiest thing for me to do. The link's right there. The reason I can link that, put that link in the description box, and I don't know how to find others, is because that's my link. It's right there. So I don't even want to hear that. But otherwise, please be sure to like this video. If you have any questions that you want me to research, put them in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have any other questions? Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. If you want to share this video to maybe give a little bit of education to people, or if you want to wait until our questions are answered, that's fine. Just drop me a comment. I love talking to you guys in the comment. And again, my PayPal Donate Me link is in the description box. And will be in most of my previous videos as I go back and continue. I started with my most recent, and I'm going back and doing as many as I can at one time. Guys, be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything. Have your best day, and I will see you next time for the case of Dulce Maria Alaves. Mwah.